Okay, I'll give you a quick example because this is a particularly fascinating topic to me. So talking about the physical mechanics of the brain and how that applies to different objective personality concepts, for example, the animals, the functions, the modalities, yada, yada, yada. So take, for example, somebody that has NF BLAST. When using NF BLAST, what exactly is happening? So it's known information for the sake of the tribe, but NF is, according to my limited understanding, exists on the right side of the brain, and right side of the brain might be the left side of the brain, depending on, how your brain is set up. Usually citation needed, usually people who are left-handed have the right side of their brain on the left side, yada. Anyway, so let's say the non-dominant side of the brain, except for people who are NF, that might actually be a more dominant side, but the definition of dominant is a very ST orient. Anyway, there's lots of details to go into. So whenever you're using literal speech, actual words or, written or spoken, that's always the ST side of the brain because it's concrete. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're using ST functions at the time. We always use all of our brain, and that's been proven time and time again. Citation needed of all the studies into are people right-brained or left-brained. They're looking at what part of the brain are they literally using. They're literally using all their brain all the time. It's constantly firing. But the point is, where is our consciousness? Where is our focus of attention inside of our brain? And where is it kind of pushing from and pushing to? So back to the example of NF BLAST. So if I'm using NF BLAST, I'm trying to get across an abstract point in an abstract way, in a way that I think other people will care about according to their values and fit in with the tribe in a way that isn't weird and doesn't make me seem like an outsider or somebody that doesn't fit in, but it also works with how I logically see things and literally makes sense using words that people can understand. So if I'm using NF BLAST in the moment, I'm in that mode using that animal filter, but you can't just use NF to talk because the NF side of the brain has literally zero access to the ability to use any kind of concrete anything because that exists on one side of the brain as, citation needed. People who have brain damage on different parts of the brain lose certain abilities, like the ability to speak. But there are a million different parts of the brain that are involved in speaking. But the particular part that I'm talking about, I forget the name of it. Haha. But it's the part that, if you lose that, every other part of your brain, you can use you have physical motor access to the parts of the body that are involved in speech, but you lose the ability to form the words, to convert your concepts into words that people can understand. So that part of the brain is an ST function or an ST feature, but it can be used by the NF side of your brain, but in a subordinate kind of way. See, it gets really complicated really fast. I'm already almost 4 minutes in, and I haven't explained anything. And then one of the wrinkles is masculine intuition versus masculine sensing. Where is your, for lack of a better word, confidence? Where is your comfort level? So people with masculine sensory, it seems like they can just use words more naturally and more directly. They have easy access to them. For example, Eminem. Look at what he can do with words, just like there's no fumbling around. What is the fumbling around? Like, I'm searching for the right word, blah, 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 blah. It's just like mush. Because my confidence, my N side is so masculine, it knows exactly the concept that it's getting at, and that's where my confidence comes from. And so when I'm trying to reach for a word, it's like it's checking this word with the N side. Does this fit the concept or not? As I'm trying to literally say the word, and it has to do a lot of crosstalk back and forth. So that's a theory we can actually test. So take a group of people who have masculine intuition and a group of people that have masculine sensory, do a double-blind test so you don't know which are which, don't bias yourself, don't bias the experiment, and test to have them explain a known concept and see how much crosstalk there is. People who have masculine sensory should have a lot less crosstalk when trying to get words to and use them, and less fumbling around with it, and that should be a trackable pattern you can see in brain activity, versus masculine and intuition people who will have a lot more crosstalk when trying to use words, or and it can't just be repeating words that you just heard, because that's a memory task and that's slightly different. We have to form anyway, it's a lot of science needed, and that requires a lot of time and effort. People are busy, which means that you'll have to have a lot of funding, which basically means that none of this stuff can even get started anytime soon. I know Dario Nardi is doing a lot of brain stuff. Maybe we can take that data and crunch the numbers in an interesting way to see what patterns emerge. I don't know. Maybe Dario is interested in doing some of these more focused tests. I don't know. Maybe he's already doing them. I don't know. I don't really follow what he's doing in too great a depth, but at least he's doing some science, getting some data. It might be, flawed in one way or the other. Anyway, we're barely scratching the surface here. I firmly believe, theoretically, tentatively, that there's a lot that is absolutely mapped to the literal physical structures of the brain, and that are the same across the board for all of humanity. Might be swapped as far as sides of the brain. But I believe that there's probably something there. But what exactly it is, we'll see. And then, based on the data, reassess the theory and readjust. And, it's going to be a lot of work. It's going to be a lot of time. And that's why it's so great that David Chan, the objective personality, actual, LLC or whatever, is so focused on trying to make this objective and trackable enough to bring it to science. And then once science gets involved, other people can start getting funding and doing research, and we can actually get some real data and start tracking this stuff. But, to just test the one thing, like masculine intuition versus masculine sensing, you'd have to have a tightly focused scientific study that's focused just on that. And then, that might not actually be trackable. It might, or, maybe we set up the test wrong, and maybe there wasn't enough statistically significant data. Maybe we crunched the numbers wrong. It's there's so many things that can go wrong. That's why we need real scientists who know how to think, statistically and all this stuff. It's a lot of work, and I do not have the skill set nor the time to do it anytime soon, unfortunately. Bye.